completion, and in their inherent opportunities. Okay? And most of these opportunities are to do with construction, civil works, fabrication of oil storage tanks, which all we want to be done by Ugandan companies. Now, our contractor, Tier 1 contractor CCJV, is here, and I believe they will speak more about the opportunities that lie within the EPC3 activity. Okay. We also have the shoreline protection construction work that is almost to start, and that contract was offered to a company called Dynap, and I believe they are represented here. So they will speak more about that shoreline project. We have another group of drilling support services, which services are being done by a company called Cnooc. Okay. Now, there are multiple opportunities within the drilling support services. Some of them are to do with core and core cutting, drilling software provision, geological sample storage, top-level design, consulting services for intelligent oilfield constructions. Okay. Now, as I say, our intent as Cnooc is to ensure that Ugandans do participate and that we maximize value retention within the country, value creation within the country, within Uganda, so that we have a positive impact on the economy. Okay? And we want our contractors to take national content quite seriously, through utilization of Ugandan goods and services, through employment and training of Ugandans, knowledge and technology transfer to Ugandans. And we have a lot of these national content commitments embedded within our contracts, and we impose our contractors to implement national content development. And with that said, I think I'll let our contractors speak more to give us more information about how they intend to develop national content, or how they intend to maximize national content and probe the opportunities that lie therein that they're looking at. We Ugandan companies. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much. How do we work together as enterprises to ensure that we maximally benefit from this oil and gas story? Now, I want to, at this very point, introduce a gentleman who is going to help us understand how we can create these linkages, okay? And how we can benefit from each other. Even when you're in this room, how do we link with one another to ensure that we work together and maximize the benefits from this oil and gas story? So without any further ado, I'd like to introduce Mr. Charles Ochichi from Enterprise Uganda. Mr. Charles, kindly please come and take the floor.
$197,000 local enterprises. Some of them have become award winners. And just last month, I was in Abu Dhabi, where I took one of our competitors to compete for a global award, and turned out to be in the top 10 out of 800. And finally, when the selection was made, that lady was #1 out of 800. So I speak a message that has been tested, grounded, used, and has created transformation. And I want to say, I'm not excluding anybody. If you are doing business, whatever I'm going to talk about here, you need to absorb it. Because the story of business does not know the race, it does not know the color of anybody's skin. Probably some of you knew that Nakumatt was owned by Asian investors who were reputed in the region of East Africa. They folded up in East Africa, they went back to where they started from in Kenya, and today they have also exited in Kenya. Having been in the top league in the region, and the owner, Tul Shah, was revered as one of the top 50 entrepreneurs in Africa. Today, Tul Shah cannot stay in Kenya. He's a wanted fugitive because people who supplied through his chain and say, you deceived us, you have not been paying us, we want our money. But that was a story of great success. Opening just one outlet of a supermarket is a big deal. By the time you open several of them and you're of international standards, that man was an achiever. That man was a great entrepreneur. But let's leave him alone because we have a bigger story within the country also called Rocco. Rocco was owned by Europeans. And as we speak today, Rocco is looking for government to rescue it. And I think government has come to the rescue of Rocco. Rocco has requested for a rescue package of 200 billion. But they were number one in the country. They were number one in the whole of Africa. And Rocco today has had a generation transition. The founding individuals of Rocco did a great job and handed the battle to the next generation. And that battle that they handed off to the next generation had the likes of Seani, the likes of Cementas, and all the other great people within the sector. And those who were still alive, the founders were still alive in those other companies. These young ones were taking over Rocco and taking it to that kind of a territory. The battle was unprecedented. No supplier now wanted to supply Rocco cement or steel materials because it had lost the battle. Finally, it could not execute government contracts worth 970 billion. And you must be saying, it must be government that didn't pay. May I give you another statistic? They had private contracts of 630 billion signed up, and they could not execute them. They had to exit and come back to government on their knees saying, please rescue us. So what I'm talking about here is a message that does not respect nationality, does not respect history, does not respect size, but a message that respects the principles of private sector. And speaking about private sector, Chichi can give you only 2 laws for you to enter that sector and remain there. If those 2 laws are missing from you, your history may be glamorous. Your title may have been known for a long time in the country. But if these 2 laws are beginning to recede from your identity, begin to sign your exit. Law number 1, sell a solution that meets customer minimum expectations. I have engaged you as my distributor. There are certain minimum expectations I have. I have engaged you as my supplier. There are minimum expectations I have. The moment you cannot meet those, there is nothing like, you know, we've been together for 3 years. You know, as he said, you this and this. That was in the past, and we paid for the past. Today, where are you? Minimum customer expectations. Why? Because anybody in the marketplace who is spending their money, they are spending and opening the door to spend this money because they have got a need. And one of the needs is, I want a conference hall of a certain size. It must be fresh. The toilets must be clean, and I'm giving you money. If you don't give me this, I have this money, I can go and do it elsewhere. That's one of the rules you can never bend. Prayers, fasting, giving donations to God, you may try. But at the end of the day, where are my minimum expectations? 2, even when you have made the minimum expectations, the private sector is unforgiving. Mr. Martin, private sector is unforgiving. It is asking and saying, are you the only one offering that solution? Or there is another hotel in the neighborhood that can give a conference facility? And if they are there, and they are more organized, and they are more attentive, they are more efficient, and they approach me, I'm likely to shift. And when I shift, I don't tell you. I just shift and leave you hoping that I'll come back. In other words, be ready to compete non-stop for the deal that you won last year, 10 years ago, 5 years ago. You won during that period and you delivered. Be ready to compete for somebody you have no idea where they are coming from. The day you forget those 2 and 3 rules, those 2 rules, you must exit. History ceases to matter. So I just wanted to put that one as the background to my submission, and it's a submission that I give with all the honesty and all the bareness and all the forthrightness, so that as you come to the oil and gas sector, which is not premised on Ugandan standards, but is premised and assessed on international standards. As you enter that sector, let your tale of war go up. Do I have a picture? I don't have a flip chart here. I'll tell you how a dog who is going for a fight walks to a fight line. It does not go with the tail below. It goes with the tail right up saying, I am into this game, but I must win, and everything is dependent on me and nobody else. That being the opening remarks from Charles Ochichi, here's the presentation, friends. So my presentation says, existed before, but they have tended to be shallow, informal, and short-lived. Ugandans, you know that you've been given a chance to run a fuel station of Total, a fuel station of Shell. How long have you run that fuel station and it is still in your hands? In the beginning, the fellow is keen and firm. Shortly after there, gone and done. And yet, Total has tried. They tell you, here is the software. It's called Tally. Here are the rules you must follow. Try and follow them. What do you do as an operator of the fuel station? You try to circumvent those rules. Thinking you are bright, thinking you are the best. What have you just done? You've just disobeyed the first rule I told you. Minimum expectations of the customer must be met. And it should be you to do it, not any other person. Don't allow Total to come and inspect you. You are useless, you are immature, you don't belong in the private sector. So that is the first message I'm talking about there. It is so common in this country to have informality in terms of relationships. Because somebody says, today they are good, I don't know how good they would remain for so long. Number two, some large corporates have gone the extent of Total and others to offer some in-house solutions to mentor SME partners. But that's not their core business. May I say it again? If they keep on coming to check on you, tell yourself, for how long can I be a baby? How am your team? How am your partners? How am everybody associated with you? And how to live being checked and being over-supervised. But they will try and do it because of the laws of this country. Because I was here when my colleague was making a comment that, you know what, the law is saying, please, local content give to these fellows. Let me tell you this. Even those laws will be fulfilled without you being in the game. Visit Botswana, visit other countries, where you're supposed to have a local working with a foreigner. They will give a local the identity. You will be in the papers. In the bank account, a local is not a signatory. But you go and check the paperwork, it is covering the local content. In other words, no amount of you trying to be babysat will make an investor come and make losses here. And government, because they are in need of resources, will try and say, whatever we can do to appear to be fulfilling those rules, let's fulfill them. These fools are failing to cope. But we need the resource out of the ground. Point number two, and this is important because that's why I want to say, as we talk about this message, the ball is in your court. It's you to lift yourself. It's you to sweat it out. It's you to say, if they didn't discover me messing up today, I must myself apologize and correct it tomorrow before they discover. Because there are so many things your partners may never know about what you are trying to do in shortcuts. Fix them. Dismiss the fool of employee who is stealing, who is causing all the sabotage. So point number two says, the cost and expertise required for creating linkage-ready locals is prohibitive and current. I tell you, use this software. I tell you, do this and this. I tell you, make sure this. I give you all this information, not because I want to punish you, but I want you to make sure, as I work with you, remember oil and gas is an international sector. It has nothing to do with this country called Uganda. It has nothing to do with this continent called Africa. It is an international resource. A resource for which you will be punished at the stock exchange in London. That's how harsh it is. So, They will do all it takes. The Totals and the Cnooc will do all it takes. If your attitude does not shape up, they will keep on finding ways to sort the problem and keep going until the resources are exhausted in this country. Most of the outsourced activities, because of our challenges and the difficulty in working with our locals, they tend to give us low entry, low exit barrier opportunities. Come and supply us this. Come and supply us a bit of cement. Bring some metals. You transport something this way and the other way, but to make you to start fabricating items, they say those fellows, they get satisfied too quickly. But they also tell you why you get satisfied too quickly. You are surrounded by relatives who are very poor, who see any modest achievement and they are clapping. Everywhere you pass, you are receiving all accolades. And you forget that you are in an international sector. You are surrounded by very poor relatives. And these relatives will give you all the praise they can. Why? You deserve them. You have earned billion. You have earned 2 billion. They have never earned 50 million at all. So friends, you are in a very contradictory situation where claps, accolades are worth it, receiving. But at the same time, you are in a sector that does not measure you according to the villagers and the relatives who are poor, who are measuring you according to international standards. Trouble. So here is the message. For you to go beyond these low entry and low exit barrier things, up the game, sweat it out, pay the price, but at the end of the day, I'll be showing a slide which says there are benefits. You paid the price, but the benefits are immeasurable. So, global investors in the oil and gas sector subscribe to the demanding international standards with no, you have a separate line where you do philanthropy. Do not mix with business with philanthropy. Either the fellow qualifies or the fellow is out of the game. As ruthless, as callous as that. Just to remind you again, I am here to speak a message for Africa. I'm here to speak a message for the local enterprise. Just because there used to be a great entrepreneur who did a very good job, who went on to become supplier of major companies and all those kind of companies. Whichever construction company, Behakanira was one of those great suppliers. But this man called Behakanira later went on to other businesses, and he took the kind of loose operations that he had into other sectors, and he paid the price. By the time we buried him, this hotel here had not yet become a hotel of Chogam. But this man was one of those great entrepreneurs who started from modest beginning and became one of the biggest hardware owners, and then later a contractor, a supplier of contracting road construction services. A Ugandan with that kind of a track record. Can you imagine just owning one road equipment in this country? One. All your clan will keep clapping for each time you pass around. He had many. Can you imagine just being contracted to just do a small road on Nakibubo Lane? Everybody will just say, our uncle is the richest. He was doing more than those. But because of what I'm going to talk here, the story ended. The story ended. So do not imagine that this fellow was lazy. Do not imagine that this man was careless. This man meant well. But because we are surrounded by accolades, by fellows that we tend to use to measure our achievement, please, let's lift our standards. The day we lift our standards and begin to associate with Indians who have made a mark, associate with Europeans who have made a mark in this country, begin to share hotel rooms with some of these fellows, the day Uganda will begin to say we have matured. Short of that, it is temporary. It is temporary. Whether it's accommodation, whether hotels, you are going to hand over those hotels. you will be the one begging others to come, please come and buy my hotel, because you're in trouble. The sleeper's gone. Wow, let me continue with my submission. Slide number 2, there are only 10 of them. These are the benefits, so that you begin a little bit to sit down and just say, let us now see what it means. If those are the benefits, what must I then do to reap those benefits? Benefit number 1, if you follow business linkages in the way they come, making each party to be happy and say, wow, I can't do without my supplier, I can't do without my disputer. If both of you are happy, you create a competitive SME, because you will have gotten technology and you will have also gotten management skills. In other words, the day you associate with these firms that I had been talked about here, look at how they manage. Look at the kind of technology they are using. Look at the way they are talking to their customers and their staff. Or relief. Every day you are in a business linkage, you are in a classroom. Are you learning? Or are you saying, when can my check be written? When can my check be written? The fool is ignoring all the lessons right in front of him as you associate with this big brand. These big brands are just having other human beings. You may have a big name, but behind the name are normal human beings with 2 eyes, 1 head. Standard height, just like this. That's why this headroom has never been higher when you have got certain tall field. Normal human being can never go beyond this height. That's why this room is like this. Those are the fellows that we should be competing with. And did you know that Ugandans can go to the classrooms with these fellows in universities and beat them? You'll go to universities, overseas, anywhere, and you'll beat these fellows in class. But when it comes to running businesses, you are timid, your tails are down. Where's the problem? So, the benefit that you are going to become competitive because you are in the classroom of the best of the best. Number 2, it is a fast way of introducing you to the banking industry and making all banks to just say, where are you? When can you come and take more money? When can you come and take more money? We saw you becoming a major supplier of a multi-billion opportunity. Bankers are going to come for you. My background is banking. And then when I left banking, I went into boards of banks. When I went to the boards of banks, I chaired the committees of loan granting of banks. And my message always to the staff of those banks is, have you talked to all the fellows who are into major business linkages? The next committee meeting of the board, again, was saying, this fellow here is a supplier for so and so. Have you talked to them? Can we give them 3 billion? We look for you to give you money because you've been accepted by respected brands. You are now of a DNA of that kind of a brand. Next, benefit number 3 is that you create local SMEs that themselves become creators of value chains beyond the oil and gas sector. What am I saying here? Let me give you a picture of hope. Just to tell you that these things can be done, and we must do them. If we don't do them, we blame ourselves. From a grocery shop to a giant supermarket, the Ngabiranos story. How the Ngabiranos made capital shoppers to occupy the spaces occupying today. In other words, a fellow who started as a small operator, small supplier, small distributor, small seller, today is the avenue for people to become, can I supply eggs? Can I supply tomatoes? Can I supply soap? Can I supply this? He has become the anchor of the chain for getting many other people to become great business people. Any day you sign a contract to become a supplier of eggs for capital shoppers, you will dance and dance until the toes feel painful. Because you know that every week you need 10,000 trays of eggs to be supplied. And it is guaranteed market, guaranteed payment, no hassle, no bribery, no nothing. You just enjoy. But how did they get there? Those are the things I will be sharing with you today. And if they have gotten there, are they continuing to follow the rules that took them to that platform? If they don't, the story of Uchumi, the story of Nakumatt is very fresh. They can come down and they will exit. And just to tell you that they exited not because the sector was bad, Carrefour came in. Everywhere Nakumatt was exiting, Carrefour says, please allow me to get in. Please allow me to get in. Please make sure I remain here. In other words, the customer was not the issue. The issue was the occupant of the space. But my message is not lost on you. In other words, my message is, you can use oil and gas to become a mega player elsewhere. What you take away from this opportunity in a country as raw as Uganda, where opportunities are everywhere, you have a chance to use the sector to say this sector is finite. It will end at some point. But when it ends, I've built a capital base, I've built management skills, I've built contacts, I've built respectability, and I've built a brand. I take all those to other sectors and swim like a whale. When a whale is swimming, the water must show the ripples. So, another benefit is that you will create SMEs that have higher chances of registering cross-generational enterprises. Here is my pain. How do you build a great business empire and just 8-10 months later, a newspaper is flashing all your properties for sale? That's the story of BMK. Front page article. BMK properties for sale. You've done a great job. And for those who do not know how great BMK is, Africana alone is no less than 150 rooms. Do you know a hotel of just 20 rooms is a big deal? If they donated you Speak Hotel here with no interest, no loan to pay, then they just say, who have donated? What's your name, sir? Ronald. Who have donated Speak Hotel to Ronald? Ronald will jump and say, what an opportunity. God has had my prayer. It's a miracle. You check on the hotel after 6 months. Do you see how many rooms are in the conference hall here? I mean, lights. I think there is about 5, another 5, then about 25 lights. After 6 months, when the man is struggling to pay the power bill, he will remove this light, remove the other one, remove the other one, remove the other one. He says, this is expensive, this is very expensive. I can't manage this. In other words, when you see a great story end in pain, don't look at the easy part because you are jealous, because you don't want to learn. Learn and just say, what happened to a great story that built an empire called Africana, plus other things. What caused it? The moment you are 8 months in the grave, the properties are up for sale. Whatever I'm going to share with you here is supposed to cure that. Because it's coming on it is coming to your side. The train is coming for you, and it will not meander. The Mukwano story is a great one. By the time the old man was releasing the reins, he had made sure the daughter had taken over the industrial part of the empire. Then the son had taken over the real estate part of the empire. And each of them had been given a testing moment when the old man was running. And as the old man was dying in the last week, he got the grandson and told him, I prepared your mom, I prepared your uncle to run this empire. You are the next generation. You need to begin to love how customers are made happy. He was talking to a young man and they quoted him verbatim. They said, these were part of his last words as he was talking to the grandchild. He now had groomed his daughter and the son. And now it was a grandson who was saying, you are the next generation. I will not be around. Please be ready to hold the yoke of a mega empire. Because this mega empire, after the son, the mom and the uncle have done their bit, if this young man is not prepared, the weight will be too much that he will release most of it until it is just a basic skeleton. The last point is key. Cross-generational enterprises is a big battle. But our God said, I think it is in Proverbs 13:22, he said, a good man will leave inheritance to his children's children. Some of us cannot even just leave inheritance to the next generation, our own children. But God is saying the measure is, to what extent have you prepared your next generation plus the next one to take over whatever you have done? And there are no conditionalities about that this can only happen in Europe, this can only happen in Asia. He simply says, are you a human being? Have you been born? The only measure I'm going to give you, a good man. If you are good, show me the wealth that has gone to the children. And show me how the children are going to make that wealth go to the next generation. And it must continue to grow and grow. The battle and the pain is on us. Let Ochichi continue. So, what are some of the facts about the oil sector? Me, I'm direct, I'm brutal because I love a Ugandan business person to succeed. So when you see me being bare knuckle here, my heart is for you. I've been in this game for the last 22 years, when Enterprise Uganda was just a small thing. Today the institution is a mega brand in the continent. And come next year, we are launching a big property at Butabika. I don't know who comes from that side of the city. There's a big building opposite the hospital, the biggest in that area. That's the head office of Enterprise Uganda. With a parking space of 380 cars. So we're here for big business. And we're here not to massage your ego and cause you to vote properly. We want you to win in the private sector. So, here is the message about the oil sector. Global investors are not coming here to make you great or support your poor fellows. They are here to make sure that the oil reaches international market. Full stop. And that oil is coming from Uganda, but also coming from Saudi Arabia. It's also coming from other countries. Also coming, all of it going to international market. If you are useless and very mature in Uganda, you don't belong in the territory. Get out. Get out. This is one sector which is over-analyzed, over-studied, over-documented. That is the purpose of Cnooc. That is the purpose of Total, and they have been in other territories. 2, they shall work with whoever adds value to their efforts. If you are going to be a headache, they will talk to your political leadership and tell them, this oil is supposed to go to this way. We wanted to do this with the local Ugandans. Do you know what's happening in the other parts of the supply chain? From Saudi Arabia, from elsewhere? Uganda cannot get in. Mr. President, can we adjust some rules? These fools are failing to cope. The president will immediately sign the document. What a painful moment that one would be. But I'm only here to just tell you that this is damn tough game. Whoever is here is not here as a monopoly source of oil. Uganda is not a monopoly in the entire world. We're a small contributor in a big story. Please wake up. So, number 2, the world investors have the experience, they have the expertise and the willingness to make sure that resource will be accessed no matter the tough situations. They have been in tough terrains, they have encountered issues, they have even encountered demonstrations, and they have managed to calm the waters and gotten the thing to go to the international market. It will happen in Uganda. Whether it means creating more prison halls, whether it means doing whatever it takes, I would rather do this. Let's do all it takes, please, Martin. Eh? Who is Martin? He has stepped out. He has stepped out. Martin is the one who called me. But Cnooc and Total, please do all it takes to make these fellows fit into the game. It's a cruel game. There is no babysitting. There is no pretense here. They must fit in the game. But the benefits are good for the country. And I suspect the 2 of you are Ugandans. I suspect, I don't know. But even if you are not, you are African. At least that one I'm sure. You must be Africans. Yes. So let's make these fellows fit into the game. Let's not pretend about it. Because whatever it takes, Uganda will be called to go and attend the oil conference. And then they will tell Uganda, and the president will send the most respected, trusted friend to attend that conference. That fellow will come with a report and say, Mr. President, if we don't do this, The oil from Hoima will never go into a national market. The fellow will lose his sleep for 2 days. By the time it's the third day, he will be saying, bring me documents to sign. Let's get the oil to go to the international market. So anyway, registration and being in the data bank, that is the easiest part of it. You are all in it, forgetting about that part. It's like you are breathing oxygen. That's okay now. It's no longer about having oxygen. Registration is just giving you oxygen to be breathing in the sector. Nobody will say I'm a human being because I'm breathing. Yeah, useless if that's the conversation you're having. The easiest bit is being registered. Local content is not about your birthplace, your skin color, this thing of mentality, entitlement. You know, make sure that the local content, true, we want it. Did you know that we can improve the percentage of the local content? What's the current percentage you are talking about? Huh? Local content benefit for the locals here to benefit from. Is it a percentage or it is just open-ended?
No, we want to achieve at least 70%. That's great.
It's about 70%. Did you know that it could be taken to 80%? Did you know that it can be taken to 90%? But they are simply saying, well, opened the door, please enter. But enter with credentials. You don't just say, my credentials is I've got a Ugandan passport, I've got a Ugandan NIN, national identity number, I have a NIN, I have a NIN. Whoo, a NIN. Forget the NIN. We are not bothered with the NIN. Oil and gas sector calls for SMEs to be at the international sphere. But here, where is the country that we are talking about? Uganda has one of the highest global entrepreneurial index. In other words, each time they come and assess the percentages of Ugandans as a population who are willing and ready to go into private sector, Uganda is always in the top 3. But pause a minute and look at the other story. When you now look at the Ugandans who have gone into business, they have consistently been at the highest level of enterprise failure. To me, those are positives because they are not fearing to go into private business. The other thing is, let's unite. Cnooc, Enterprise Uganda, let's unite and get these fellows who are now eager to commit themselves to the sweat to succeed. Because you can do it. You can do it. It can be done. So, if that is your picture, what does Ochichi have to say? Here are the causes of your short life businesses. And if you are seated here, you know some of the businesses that have exited. I just told you about some of them, but also what the case like of Zimwe Empire. Zimwe was one of those respected road contractors. By the time he was dying, some Ugandans who had lent him money beyond the banks were asking. By the way, even the home where he was buried was up for sale. Even that home was up for sale. But in the burial now, people were saying it seems a big mabugu has been collected. Can I recover a bit of my money that I lent to the late from the mabugo? It's a tough game. But never underestimate Zimwe. Kasaga was a great entrepreneur. He walked the talk and produced impressive achievements. But here's a game about private sector. The two things I mentioned, they are timeless. Yesterday, a customer came. Was he happy? Did you meet the expectations? Did he make referrals about you? Number 2, are you aware other people are coming into your space and they're trying to say, we can do it faster? We can do it cheaper? If you don't do those two things, history is not your refuge. It's not your sanctuary. It will never be. And ought not to be. So anyway, these are the things that are causing short lifespan of African businesses. Number 1, failure to handle achievement. What's the effect of that? You will now mix personal and business funds. And in the course of mixing personal and business funds, you are going to steal suppliers' money. You are going to steal deposits from whoever. You are going to take shortcuts on what you are supposed to supply and send something substandard. Because you have stolen part of the money for your own excitement. So, excitement on achievements, especially when we are surrounded by poor fellows who are saying you are our best. Christmas is coming, you'll see the seat they will give you at the church. Right in front. Our son has come from Kampala. He participates in the oil sector. Let him sit here. Sir, you move. Then they move the others. They cause you to come in front here. That achievement thing, after you have sat in front, you know what you do? Reverend, this was a good sermon. I have an offer. You are making an offer without looking at records. You are making an offer because of excitement. Good luck if that continues to work out for you. Because after you have given this offer at the church, they will say, school headmaster was seated in the audience. As soon as you finish that offer, the headmaster approaches. Sir, thank you for helping our community. We have classrooms, especially for P7 candidates. They are leaking. We just need only 200 iron sheets, sir. No problem. How many iron sheets did you say? Okay, I'm going to call my accountant. Mr. Accountant, please can you arrange some money and send to this account? The school is having leaking classrooms. This is my village and I cannot afford not to help my community. Excitement about achievement. We have recognized you genuinely. Is it wrong for us to appreciate your achievement? No. But the point is, as you are making the donations, did you look at the budget line for grants? Did you look at it? Or you just simply say, I am here to sort out my community. Try. You announce in the meeting that, you know what, this year you are going for Christmas, you are going to make this announcement. I'm going to sponsor 10 best students in the whole district. All the best 10, I'm sponsoring them. Without any figures associated with the announcement, the man has made the announcement. As soon as you finish that announcement, LOC one of the village now says, that is for the entire district, but I want you to make sure that you have helped our local fellows in the parish. No problem. How many are they? Bring me 10 from the parish. The fool is mixing business with himself. That's why I say, the cause for the failure is fusing the business with the owner. He has never known that this business that's supplying the oil and gas thing is totally different from him. You are making donations as if that business and you are exactly one. Big mistake. Go and try and go to Capital Shop and call Ngabirano. That you know, I'm going to school, but I have no money. Can I just go to Capital Shoppers and pick up an item? He says, no, you will not. The system don't allow. But I have some 20,000 here. You take it and go and buy something from Capital Shoppers. Separate the two. You will never get the fellow telling people that all those things are available, just to go, and then I will tell the manager that you go and lift those items and take children to school. Never will it happen. But he will tell you I have 50,000. Here it is. If you choose to go and spend it at Capital Shoppers, that's okay. But if you don't also, I've assisted you. The two are different. Very different. The day you fuse Capital Shoppers and Ngabirano, Capital Shoppers must begin to exit. And Carrefour will be saying, give us the space. The buyers exist. The occupant lost the journey. Please give us the space. Unplanned diversification, unplanned growth, obsessed with heroism. Everywhere you are saying, I'm the one to do it. I'm going to give you a school. I'm going to do this for you. As you are doing that, the supply chain is simply telling you, the fabrications we told you to make should be ready in 14 days. In the meantime, the school you have just offered the other side, people are saying, you know the school is starting soon. Please bring the money right now. You know the children will be late. Then the money has gone to the school. The supply thing here has been affected. The fool is fusing himself and the business. And he thinks he's the solution giver for the world. Good luck. Because that empire must exist when you are still alive. And that's the pain about failure in business. You are going to witness the failure of your empire when you are still walking. and you pass by that place and then say, that used to be our place. The pain, especially to the children. You have no idea the conversation the children also have in parallel to what you are having because of your image. They have created a certain class among. The day you lose that property, the children are the most pain. And you don't even want to know about it. Those kids need counseling. Because they have got peers who have been looking up and say these are children from the rich family. The rich family, their property is being put up for sale. It looks like you just feel like saying, who committed this error? I wish such a parent, such an elder could go to heaven a bit earlier, so that you don't create illusionary hopes for the next generation. Anyway, the message is here. Complacency. Taking the customer for granted. I am the best around. They will never look for another person who will do the fabrications like me. Who told you? Don't you know that when you're doing the fabrication, you had staff? Can't your staff be taken? Didn't you know that when you're doing the fabrication, there were suppliers? Can't your suppliers be taken? Didn't you know that you had technology? Can that technology be replicated? Complacency is stupid. It's useless. It's rubbish. Every day be trembling about the customer as if it is the first encounter. Every day. No getting used. You get used. Just remember what I told you about Atul Shah. He was in the top 50 globally respected entrepreneurs. Top 50, and he was the only one from Africa. Atul Shah today cannot step in Kenya. He's a wanted fugitive. But if you had visited Nakumatt, especially in Kenya, those were premium outlets. Whether you are in Oxford Street, whether you are in New York, those outlets of Nakumatt stood the test. They were the very best you could talk about. So my message is very, very, very clear. Never, ever get used to the story of your game. And it's leading to commingling of business operations. This is the school and the restaurant and the bus company, they're all mixed up. And the cash cow that used to be doing a good job was in the oil and gas company. You are removing all the cash from there to start and pay the salaries of teachers. What happens to these oil and gas contracts? And the standards are known. The delivery deadlines are known. And in oil and gas, it is an international game. There is no explaining to anybody you are supplying as Cnooc or Total that unfortunately I have got Ugandans here who are a little bit lazy, but they are not very lazy. They have supplied some benefits to the community. That's why they have delayed to supply what I wanted. Can you give us another 10 days? They say we give you a chance once, but please, if you can't shape up, the contracts from Uganda must be cut. They must. Arnold, you are called Ronald. Ronald, you are hearing. You are young, but it is coming. The message, it will hit you. It will hit you, and it doesn't take long for it to hit 50. Today you are far from it, you are heading for 50. Anyway, failure to match cash flow needs, and what happens when you fail to match cash flow needs? You've been known by the banks because of the deposits and what have you. You know what the banks come? They tell you, anytime you want money, we are here to give you money. We know how your account is. Not knowing the fool you are trying to rescue has been lifting money and throwing it left and right, left and right. The bankers are watching the original picture, which picture has been clouded. I'm a banker. I've seen people who have failed to pay bank loans. I always ask one question, and that question finishes the story. Show me the cash flow you took to the bank, indicating how you pay the bank. Oh, I'll be getting this billion per month, and then my question is it a correct assumption? What are the assumptions behind the figures of the cash flow? Next question is, to what extent did you work hard to fulfill those assumptions so that the cash flow works out? Number 3, if you followed the cash flow projections, and then you worked hard to get them to work out the way they are, did you preserve the cash? Or you started stealing it and taking elsewhere? If you answer those questions well, Ochicha has got a chance to discuss with you. If you fail to pay that loan, most likely it's a sector-wide challenge, not you. And do you know that when it's a sector-wide challenge, bankers always understand it. Most of the fellows who fail to pay bank loans mishandle the cash flow. And they suffered as individuals. It was not a sector-wide issue. You are seated in this room, you have issues with paying your loan. Take Ochichi's number, 0772 699 808. One day, one time, that number will come handy. You have no idea when, you have no idea under what circumstances. One day, one time, you will have to call Ochichi and just say, I have issues with my cash flow. Can I have a conversation? I do morning clinics, Monday to Friday, and they are always subscribed. This thing here, you must exit. Anyway, the above routes to short shelf lives of SMEs arise due to erosion of the primary certain business relationships. These relationships here will be sabotaged by your excitement on achievement, by your unplanned diversification, by your complacency, by your poor structures, by your mismanagement of liquidity. The trust will be gone. If there be one word you should never forget for solid business relationships, the word is simple. The word is a 5-letter word, trust. And just to give you the inside of that word has 2 long words behind it. I can only trust you when you have got those 2. The first long word behind trust is character. You are as good as your word. But character in itself is not sufficient. The second thing is, do you have the competencies to deliver on what you do? Combine the 2 C's and you have trust sorted. We don't want to know your gender anymore. We don't want to know your English anymore. We don't want to know your color of the skin anymore. We don't even want to know your nationality. We simply say, where is my supplier called Ronald? Having told you where the short lives are coming, then what's the remedy? There's that word that we always like talking about, and it's useless. You know me, I work smart. Beautiful words. I work smart. I work smart. If there be a phrase that sounds sweet and looks easy to understand, but grossly misunderstood, is the word work smart. Mr. Chichi, you need to work smart. Then you wonder, what is working smart? A sister phrase is, let your money work for you. You know, for me here, I've got a system that you operate, let my money work for you. Then when all banks are surrounding you with the loans, there's another interesting word. Use other people's money. Take advantage of other people. Go to the bank. This is rubbish here. But I want to say there's some truth in all those statements. But you need to get it right. There is no replacement for hard work in the game of private sector. I told you 2 laws that you must follow. Make a customer meet minimum expectations. Those minimum expectations are continuous hard work. Number 2, be ready to compete. And you expect that competition to be just coming from Uganda, you're a liar. Capital Shoppers never expected Carrefour, they're number 1 in Europe, to enter here. They're here. Carrefour is number 1 in Europe and they have entered. And you expect to be easy work? You're a joker. A deep joke. We will take all your managers of all your branches as Capital Shoppers the next day and give them twice the salary. They will leave. That's the starting point. That's the starting point. We will work with all your suppliers and make them breathe for, struggle for oxygen until they just, you know, let's now leave Capital Shoppers. This one's paid at a shorter time. Capital Shoppers says it is 90 days, it's 45 days. This one says it's 7 days. Let's shift. Poor fellows, overnight, you are gone. This game is a game of sweat. When you begin to see it flowing so easily, call Ochichi urgently. 0772 699 808. Let's have a conversation. And tell Ochichi, the last year for me was so smooth, I don't know whether there's an error on my side. Let's have a conversation. If it sounds too smooth, if you are not having rivers to cross, call Ochichi urgently. and I will be available for you. I've committed myself to that game, and I will follow it to the dot. There's a man who made a very interesting statement that's aligned to what I'm saying here. The man is called Warren Buffett. He said, when there is a crisis and things are tough, invest in yourself. When things look smooth and everything looks going well, invest in systems. Because when things are looking good, the emotions, the excitement begin to make you imagine that you and the business are one. But if the systems are telling you, your salary is this, your transport is this, the grant for this year is only 3 million. The systems are simply saying, calm down those emotions of yours. And that is the word from a man who has led an investment group with distinction. So anyway, let me continue my message. Get it right, there is no replacement for hard work. God also said that, God said so after Adam sinned. He said, that I'm now saying, check the amount of time the wealthiest people that you know put into fun or give to wrong company. If you want somebody who's making money and is steadfast, check how much time he puts into fun. Check how much time he wastes with the lumpens. Check what they do. Check what they do. And then you begin to say, this thing is a battle. To get the best out of your efforts and the fruits of business linkages, you need to heed God's advice. And he gave that advice when he was talking to Solomon at midnight. He said, Solomon, you have been a good child. Ask of me anything and I'll do what? I'll give it to you. Then Solomon said, please give me what? Wisdom. But many of you never read the rest of the story. He said, wisdom I will give you because you have not fronted the common things a typical a human being would ask. You ask for this big one here. Many Ugandans tend to ask, or locals, human beings ask for the other things. But if you start from wisdom, God said, I'm now going to give you the other 4. What are the other 4? Wealth, recognition, long life, and the death of the enemy. But first ask for this one here, wisdom, ability to be in this world and be of value. Now, how do you get wisdom? It is at the tail end. You don't just walk into wisdom. I'm bright today, I'm very brilliant. Never. To get into wisdom, you start from information and data. What does my customer want? When should I take it? When I delivered the other time, how happy was he? Information, data. Who else is he doing the thing with? Data, information. Once you have the information and data on the customer, or now he gets happy or angry, the next thing is, have you analyzed it? Because many of us here will say, may I have information, may I have tally? When did you look at your reports from tally? When? Are they just supposed to be there in the cloud? Useless, rubbish, nonsense. That information must be reduced into trend analysis. Must be reduced into so and so who used to supply this volume is now doing bigger than you. Why? So and so who had been taken by only this company has also been taken by so and so. Why? Analysis. And when you do the analysis, what happens then? You make decisions easily. Many of us have hesitation on decision making and we fear to fail. We fear to be judged because we didn't have enough information, we didn't do enough analysis. Once you have the information, the analysis, do you know that decisions you make them? Pop! The next day you have taken a decision. Let's do this. Why? Information is backing you up. Once you have made a decision, the next thing is wake up, implement. No fear to fail. Why? You did analysis. The analysis was from current information and the information has given you a particular direction. Go ahead. May I pause here and just say one word. The word is this. Many Ugandans have tended to say, poor and educated people tend to succeed better in business than the educated fellows. Let me tell you this. It is because those fellows are just simply saying, Whatever information I'm going to get related to my business, I'm going to analyze it, and when I do, I take a decision. Meanwhile, the so-called educated man is still going to Google. He's still going this way. He's still going this end. He's still doing another. The other fellow has taken the decision and implemented. And when they implement, what do? They learn lessons from what they have done. Once you have learned the lessons, apply them. When you apply the lessons that you have just done, you get to wisdom. Whatever you have implemented will give you skills. Those skills will not remain the same, because the next action you take will be informed by, again, more current information and better decisions. So your skills keep on growing. But as you share those skills with your team, you walk into the space of wisdom. My message is clear. This business of working smart is overrated. It is misunderstood. But I've just told you the pathway to becoming the greatest person you can ever be and become a capital shopper. Get as much information on a daily basis. But as you do that, those reports, you analyze them. And when you do analysis, you take the decisions. When you take the decisions, cross the line, implement them. When you take actions and implement, that is where the skills begin to come in. But as you get those skills, share with your team. Share with peers in the industry. Don't hold it to it and just say, this is for me. Share. The more you share something that works, the higher your brain capability goes. So anyway, you need to implement those decisions, learn from those actions, acting on lessons and repeating the cycle endlessly. Back to information and keep doing that. You end up with wisdom. Limitless flow of wisdom rides on effective systems. I'm coming to my closing slides now. Now, because I've told you that you need information, there has to be something to guide you how to get information. That's where systems come in. Characteristics of systems that work are the following. Number one, first of all, what are they? Their procedures, their approaches, their rules, their structures and controls. You have them. And these rules, controls must cover the 5 areas of your business operation. Area number 1 is human resources. When you hire a person, you have the terms of reference for that person. When you have hired a person and he has the terms of reference, do you evaluate that person? When you do the evaluation, you penalize and reward. HR controls. But after HR, there are operations controls, purchases, removing items from the store, how items that have gone obsolete are handled, procurements, all those are under operations, controls still are there. But also there is the aspect of marketing and customer care. But then there is also aspect of finance, there are also controls there. Many of us have got fellows that are made in our books and they have not paid our money for the last 12 months. And they are alive and they move around and you even see the fellow. But because you have no systems and no rules to now say, you fellow, you have reached a point of me taking you to a legal process. The banks have the rules. The moment your account is behind by just 3 months, the banks are writing a first warning letter because that's what the controls are saying. Give him the first warning letter. 6 months later, a second warning letter. After that, it is now the lawyer communicating, no longer the bank. That's what the controls are saying. Are you doing it? No. Are you smaller, bigger than the bank? No. If a banker can pursue 20 million and they have trillions of deposits, and you are here, miserable fellow, you are losing 100 million and you are not having the courage to follow, and you expect to be in business. Simply say, this is not about me. My systems are simply saying, this account now qualifies for legal redress. We tried our best. We talked to the client. The client has done this. Whatever he wants to say, he can now talk about that in the court of law. The systems are speaking. It's no longer being a relative. It's no longer being a son. It is the system that are saying, you cross the line, please follow the process. But also in the systems, there's what we call governance and leadership. All those are areas of systems. The common thing about all this is consistency in application. If you apply the systems consistently, the brand begins to come out. No longer the human being who is behind the brand begins to shine now. Cafe Javas is now shining beyond Mandela. It is going beyond Mandela. The Mukwano group has gone beyond the Linkages and the sister. The two are beginning to be in the background. Ensure ultimate beneficiary is the client. When the systems are followed, it's all for the benefit of none other than the customer. Yes, that customer is your business partner in the oil and gas. The fellow who put you in the value chain. Are you doing it? If you are not fulfilling his needs, you must exit. The other thing about systems is that they are painful. There's something painful about them. In the beginning, they are disruptive and they could steal on creativity. They will tell you, this is what you want, this must come up, then just, this is a headache. They are not doing these things for cosmetics or to just punish you. They are doing these things for a purpose. Remember what I said? The sector you are going into has got no color of the skin of the person. We are all going to the international oil market, fit in there. They are dull and not seen in public because they are embedded in business delivery machinery. Most of these things that we call systems are backyard operations. How you do the procurement, how you put the things in the store, how you do all this and this. All those things the customer is not seeing. The customer is simply saying, I want the fabricated item the way we agree. Deliver it. But to get it to come through consistently, systems must be in place. They call for monitoring and evaluation to ensure compliance. In other words, you are putting systems, somebody has crossed the line. Did you lose temper? Did you sit down the person? Did you make it as close as possible to the action? And you say, you know, that one has stolen. Me, I normally talk to people after every 6 months. The person has stolen today and you are waiting for 6 months. Ooh, what kind of a fellow are you? By the time you are talking of 6 months, the man will tell you, sir, I think memory is having an issue with you. It was not me. I don't think I did that. But if you are just stolen and tell the man, today you stole. This is what I got here. Please, you man. Those are systems. I'm just telling you what has happened in my house. I was repainting my house in Port Bell. The painters come in. I told my girls, there are cameras in the place, but also monitor these fellows. We told people who are entering, the systems are that put all the bags in the Ascaris unit. They put the bags in the Ascaris unit. But this fellow who is in charge of the painters makes all of them go to the other side of the building. And as they are that side, he gets the paint. This weather guard is very expensive. He pours into caveras. And quickly carries it to the what? Ascaris unit. As they are that side, and he also goes back that end, my girls go and check the bags. They see what is inside and take photographs. I go home, that's just 2 days ago. They say, Uncle, today they stole the paint. I said, what's the problem? They stole the paint. Here are the photos. Then they told me, please look at the bag, because the bags are many in the store. This is the bag. So I called them and just said, please come over to the store. Get that bag. I left all the other bags and I just said, pick this other bag here, let's open it. The shirts were on top, the paint was at the bottom, and the bag was heavy. Big bag like this, at the bottom there was all paint. They don't steal the container because they know you can see it. Systems must be backed with monitoring and evaluation. If you don't, they're useless. They're useless. The head of the assignment was not around, and yesterday, he had to send an apology saying, Mr. Chichi, please reduce my price and keep me in the assignment, because I'm finishing a hotel in Bugolobi. And I told him, with this kind of arrangement, I don't want to see your people around. That hotel is at the tail end. The bathrooms are already having fixtures. The lights are already in place. We cannot afford to have thieves around the place. Follow your systems. Enforce them. Enforce them. So anyway, the painful thing about the systems is that they require continuous review, continuous improvement, and even sometimes total overhaul. Why? They are made by man and they can be broken by man. When they started stealing paint in the beginning, they were steal in containers. They later discovered, no, let's not steal in containers. Let's pour it in Kavera. They will keep improving and keep improving and keep improving. Friends, so why take effort to put systems in place? Because I'm making a case for them. Why are they that important? The things are here. They will reward you with 60 days. Those 60 days, when you have them, you'll go the route of capital shoppers. Those 60 days, when you have them, you'll never go the route of Zimwe. You will not go there. Those 60 days, when you do them, you will not go the route of Beakanira. Those 60 days, when you have them, you will be walking the path of the Mukwano group. What are the 6 Ds? The first D is you'll be able to delegate the responsibility. And you'll also be able to now assess where the delegate is weak or strong. When the systems are clear and you are saying, you man, according to our HR policy, you are in charge of this, these are your deliverables. And I'm delegating you to be in charge of this. Now, that fellow will be delegated the assignment with clear reports to confirm that the delegatee is actually fitting the bill. The second D that systems will give you is discipline. It eliminates ad hoc approach to decisions and actions, and you begin to become consistent. There's no saying, today the boss is annoyed, that's why he's shouting at me. The boss is not annoyed, the boss is simply saying, give me the report of today's cash sales. Where is the money? These items left the store. Where are the items in process? It is no longer about me, the owner. It's no longer about the boss. It's about the reports. Let's debate with the reports. And because you are consistent, your solutions also will be consistent. Complacency that we are talking about will be eliminated. The thing of getting used to whatever, it disappears. And when I talk about discipline, this excitement of sitting in front of the church and then you make an offer for 200 iron sheets. Before you make the offer, you first call the accountant. What's the remaining amount on our philanthropy budget line? Oh, sir, it's only now 500,000. It's okay, let me make that announcement. Now, don't offer anybody else. I'm going to give all that to the church. The moment any other person turns up and says, oh, by the way, I'm also from the church, I'm in the school, I also did a classroom. Oh, sorry, for this year, all the money for philanthropy is over, but write your application, we shall see what you can add on next year. You are calm. You are not losing sleep. You know you are doing what is consistent with what you put in place. There's nothing like saying, I am now immoral, maybe now I'm not fitting into society. You are following the system. Discipline is the message. It enables you to distinguish you from the business. You can be absent from the enterprise, the reports will work in your absence. It will allow you to have a business destiny. In other words, a vision. You can now talk about the vision. These fellows who are saying, come and put a school also here, come and put a bus campus also. You say, we have a vision. Our vision is very clear. Should we now later discover in our business plan as we pursue this vision that we also want to go into tea production like the Mukwano fellows did, that's a story to talk about. It must be backed by a business plan. But the destiny is clear. The deliverers will be clearer. Goals are pursued with consistency across the business machinery. And then there will be continuous development for the entire team. You don't read the reports which show that somebody is not effective in a particular area and you don't give them support. You don't get somebody who is over-delivering and is efficient and you don't get that person to mentor others. The 60 Ds are your reward because of following systems. But as I come to a close, evidence that the sons and the daughters are all trying to reach the land assets of the empire and trying to say, can't I take this to a bank and get a loan but then don't pay? That's painful. Cost of financing gets cheaper and faster to acquire, but the moment it gets easier and faster to acquire, ring or chichi before you sign that document. For us as bankers, our work is to make sure that anybody with a good banking record, we must pour loans to you who have targets to meet. It's up to you also to know, do I need this cash? For us, we give you the cash. But the cash is like having a shoe. This is shoe. I will keep on pouring shoes your way. Will you just keep taking them because they are shoes? Cash is like shoes. Do you need them? But our work is to give you the loans. We see your account flowing very well. We will bother you and bother you. Every 6 months, we're on your case. We take you for lunch. Our MD is passing by. He wants to have a lunch with you, sir. When are you free? Then we take you to the best restaurant and we pay the bill. After that, you now say, I think it's better we take a loan from these fellows. I think they like us. We like your business, not you. We like your business, not you. Go and check your business. Does your business need that money? If not, it is the stupid you who is taking the money. The business didn't need it. I feel like squeezing somebody's neck until urine pops out because these errors are going to come your way. We are bankers, we sell financial solutions. We ask the right questions. But if you answer those questions with cosmetic lies, that's up to you. That's up to you. For us, we shall lend you the money and want it back. Anyway, with the good systems, you can diversify with each business line able to stand on its own. The Mandela Group has got Supreme Millers. It has got City Tires. It has got Cafe Javas. All of them are solid. Any one of them is good enough to make you a happy man. But no mixing, never. You are already at a smaller age, but you're already mixing so many small things everywhere. Philanthropy, that is not emotional. If you have systems, you will exhibit philanthropy, which is not backed by emotions, but is predictable and sustainable. This thing, if I were you, I would put a star there. In a country of poverty, philanthropy is one of the biggest things you want to show because you are the best Christian that has ever lived. Useless fellows. Before your kids have been going to university, you cannot pay their school fees. But you supported so many people everywhere. Then the empire's gone down. Continuous learning culture, if you have got systems, the gateway to treasured wisdom. The business plan that starts to eclipse or even match the founder's identity. In the beginning of an enterprise, everything is around the owner. But as it becomes bigger and better, the brand begins to get bigger and better. Your participation in the oil and gas sector will reward you with all those benefits. Extremely, extremely important. We have now come to a close, and friends, oil and gas sector is a game changer. It will give you a global mindset. And what's the global mindset? A global mindset is where you take 100% responsibility for your future. It's where you are visionary and you are decisive. It's where you are persistent and where you're a chief learner and where courage is part of your story. If you can participate in the oil sector, all that will happen. Evidence, the closing quotation. To confirm that this game is going to begin to become part of your blood, look at the word cast. Where C stands with the company of the people you'll be dealing with. Remember I said you should begin to associate with some Asian people whom you know in business. Begin to associate with some Chinese people in Cnooc. Begin to associate with some people in Total, including Ugandans in Total. Associate with them. What is the aim? Actions must begin to become different. Go and start working on your systems. And if systems are such a big deal, let's have a conversation. 3, your speech must change. You are not here to give jobs. You are here to deliver solutions in the private sector. And those solutions, once you are being needed, then jobs will be automatically. In other words, solution delivery is the long call in the toilet. The short call is the jobs that you have created. In other words, whenever you go to the toilet, there are 2 things that happen to you. If you go for a long call, it's automatic. There will be what? A short call. Nobody finishes a long call without a short call in the toilet. Why do you talk about the short call instead of talking about the long call? Concentrate on the long call. Deliver the long call, the short call will automatically come out. If I hear you concentrating on say, I'm here to deliver jobs, useless. The day you close, all the fellows you try to give jobs to say, we knew the thing was going to collapse. The owner was always generous. He was useless. We were trying to... The fellows you thought you were giving jobs are assessing you like some stupid little boy. Concentrate on the long call. Leave the short call alone. It will come out by itself. At least I know that. I don't know for women whether it also happens for you. At least for us men, that's how it happens. When you concentrate on the long call, the short one takes care of itself. But for ladies, I have no idea. I have no idea. The other thing is, your time use will be different. You must disappear from circulation. This thing of populism, this thing of being everywhere, this thing will be like you, forget it. Concentrate on your game. Friends, thank you so much, and I want to say, where's Martin? Martin, where's Martin? Martin, we talked a lot, but this man was not, we met on phone and discussed a lot for this session. Martin, thank you so much. I didn't know you're such a tall man. Because Ajit is not short. Ajit is a tall man. But look at Martin. Martin, stand up. Look at this man. This is a man who brought Ochichi. Look at this. But Martin, thank you, you're a good man. This man is solid. Thank you very much indeed. Again, asante sana and enjoy your session. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
My name is Linda, and I am going to present to you from CCJV. It's a short form of COEC and CPECC, and we are one of the major subcontractors of Cnooc. And this is the content that I'm going to give. First, I'll talk about the project in an introduction, and then I'll give you the national content performance so far. Then I'm going to talk about a few of the achievements we've made so far, and we'll go down to the opportunities, and then I'll close. So, in the introduction, COEC, also interpreted as, it's the short form of China Offshore Oil I'll begin with China Petroleum Engineering and Construction Corporation, which is a short form of CPECC, and we are located on Baskerville, Kololo, Kampala. But these are the different companies. The CPECC has its own office and COEC has its own office. But the joint venture, has an office in Kololo. We are located in Kololo at Nyoni Gardens. This is the project overview. That is the temporary camp, as you can see. It's been completed and it's functioning. It's supposed to house about 700 to 1,000 people. The next is the CPF. There's the water intake station, the well pads, the oil pipelines, and water intake, and the water pipelines. This is more like our scope. This is where we are based. The gentleman that was describing our work, the manager, was he gave me the scoop and he said we'll talk more about what we do. And this is it, basically. This is what we handle. And so far, this is the progress. These are the aerial views. The blue houses that you see are the temporary camps that are already housing us and our people that are working on site. And down here we have the central processing facility. They're doing a lot of works, backfillings, and project affected areas where we're doing our works. And we've ensured that we follow traffic rules and we manage fleets to minimize traffic related accidents. We liaise with local leaders to ensure preservation of cultural heritages. We've ensured that the project does not prevent the use of utilities in the project affected areas of Shakaperi, Nyakate, Kamera villages. We've done sensitization campaigns and we've sensitized people on HIV/AIDS, we've talked about STDs, hepatitis B, and we do this through, say, community matches with people in the project affected areas. These are also some of our other works. We've done recruitments. These are the pictorial views of what I've been talking about. When people are recruited, they go through medical fitness checks. And then if we find that you're eligible to work, you're fit, good to go, then we enroll you into the camp and you start work. We'll go straight to the recruitment plans that we have. So far we are, in 2023 we have, we've employed about 10 erectors, 15, as you can see. I want to summarize, they give me only 10 minutes. And for 2024, this is what we're also going to recruit. We'll need about 7 erectors, 20 painters, 22 scaffolders, and 74 laborers. These are also our community works. We are working hand in hand with academic institutions. We have donated about $150,000 towards the construction of new classrooms and staff housing in Entebbe. Then we have also given scholastic materials to very many schools in the project affected areas. I'll just spot out one, which is Buhuka Primary School. I'll go straight to the engagements that we have. We hold bi-weekly meetings with the people, the workers, before we do anything. Actually, every morning we hold meetings to tell our people what they have to do before they go out in the camp, in the field to work. We are also doing trainings. We are training our staff. And most of them are in-house because we are still trying to get a third party to do the trainings. We've already got bids from the people that want to train us. And I think we're in the process. We've signed a few actually. We've signed one with Sunmaker and we are just in the process of moving. We're in the process of them starting to work. But it's going to be more on site. University, and they give us interns that come in and they usually do for 2 months. We're also going to do another engagement with other universities, most definitely next year. We'll get interns and they come and train, but for now the ones that we have are going to come from Chambogo and they're going to be doing quality control. They're going to be quality controllers, material controllers, civil engineers, and warehouse keepers. They'll be coming on site on the 11th of next month, and they'll train for 2 months. Then they can leave, and maybe we can get others like that, both with Chambogo and other universities. This was the ceremony that we held when we were signing that memorandum of understanding with Champoko. Then we've also held our conferences, National Content Conference, quarterly conferences, and that is the schedule so far. In 2023 we held one because of a few preparations that had not yet gotten in place, but when we finally winded up, we held one that was at Protea, and then this is the schedule for 2024 and 2025. We shall hold a few in Kampala, and then others will be held in Hoima on site to educate the public about what we have, what we are doing, the opportunities we have, just like we're doing now. Yeah, this is the conference that we held. It was on the 22nd of September at Protea Hotel. And some of the people were invited. Most of them were subcontractors, the people that we are working with. Now we come to the real reason why I'm here. We have a few opportunities next year. This is our bidding process. You come up with a list of what you want, and then you give it to the there's a higher department, the contracts department that handles that, and then they'll bring it to the public relations department. Usually we do the newspaper advertisements, and then we call for the bidders, and then it's approved by the joint venture, the management up, and then finally it goes down to the people who bring in the bids. And then when the evaluation is done, the forms are sent to, the reports are sent to Cnooc, does its evaluation, and then Petroleum Authority also does its evaluation, and they confirm the person that they want, that they feel is appropriate. Each person must be registered in the National Supplier database. That is the first. And then, when you confirm, we award you, we give you a letter of award, and then you sign a contract, and then we begin to work together. That's the process you go through. The subcontracting opportunities that we have at CCJV, most of them are still under, we are still requesting for the quotations. We are still preparing to request for the quotations. But those are lake water intake pipeline and water intake station for Kingfisher oil production facilities, TPC3 package. This one is actually under the newspapers. It's already there. We put it, I'm not so certain of the date, I need to confirm, but it's under announcement. And this is it has an estimated subcontract value of 2 million. The procurement method is open bidding. It's followed by others: deep well anode construction service, Kingfisher oil production facilities. Then we have earth excavation work for Kingfisher. Then we have horizontal directional drilling. We have NDT works for Kingfisher oil. All these are under the drafting, under preparing, under prepare, and under internal approval process. But it's because we are not yet in 2024. Most of these services are going to be needed in 2024. So we'll give you a direct announcement on what will have come out. But they're all under preparation, so you can also be preparing if you can give us any of these services. Our method, I'll be brief. We prefer to use the open bidding, much as we also do the selective bidding. The open bidding usually is done for values that are in excess of $500,000 million. And then the selective bidding is usually for values that are 500 and below. Then the procurement opportunities that we have, there are not so many, because there's a lot of procurement that is already going on. We've really given a lot of Ugandans business at site, even in Kampala. So we don't really have a lot here. Yeah, but for next year, as These ones that I'm going to read are pending, but we shall need people to do them next year, and we shall still communicate. We hold national content conferences, national quarterly conferences, we shall communicate. There is consumable construction materials, kitchen tools and equipment, wooden board and urban supply. Closing remarks as I leave. We value our commitment to Uganda, to the Uganda oil and gas industry, and we are committed to meeting all the stipulations in the agreements that we signed. Thank you very much.
My name is Ronald Sekandi Seguja. I'm a National Content Officer at COSIL, which is China Oilfield Services Limited. With 10 minutes, I'll do my best to go through the opportunities. Some of the issues that my colleague Linda has mentioned are almost the same and cross-cutting, like the procurement methods used. So maybe I will not dwell so much on those. First, I will introduce our company, which is above in Uganda. We operate as COSIL Uganda SMC Limited, but our parent company, like I've said, is China Oilfield Services Limited, and it's a global Chinese company that has presence in almost every part of the world, as you can see on the map. The red signs indicate where we have been before, and the blue ones indicate where we are still active. So in Uganda, COSIL is one of the leading oilfield service providers. COSIL, the mother company, which I just showed on the previous slide, is one of the leading oilfield services providers in the industry with a range of services. Ideally, we offer integrated drilling services, and for the Kingfisher oilfield, Eric forgot somehow to mention us in his presentation in the beginning. But we have the whole broad contracts for drilling on the Kingfisher oil field. We have more than 50 years of experience. We are listed on the stock exchange in Hong Kong and Shanghai. We operate in more than 30 countries worldwide, and we have 4 major business segments. In Uganda, like I've said, we are the sole integrated drilling services provider on the Kingfisher. Just for context, when it comes to Chirenga, which is like the big total field, you find they are different. The drilling package has been broken down to Sinapec, McDermott, but for Kingfisher, because it is relatively a smaller oil field, the whole drilling package belongs to COSIL. So our scope of work is we are supposed to construct 27 wells and do 31 well completions. And as of 25th of September, we completed 3 wells. That was on part 2. If you have been to the Kingfisher, you know that when you are going down the escarpment, there was the rig that was, I think if you are going to the escarpment, that's on the right hand side, but it has now since moved to a new pad. We are now on pad 3, and we commenced drilling on pad 3 on 3rd of November, so this month. Yeah, so that is the brief about the scope of work. I'll just quickly go into the national content performance. On the left-hand side, the table represents our commitment. So our commitment in terms of manpower is that, and this is made at call for tender stage, where we committed that 30% of our management would be Ugandan nationals, and going towards so ideally, as we go on and as Ugandans gain more skills, the Ugandans will consequently start replacing the experts. So by the 5th year, we should have at least the regularization rate to be at 70%. And below you can see the graphic showing you the blue line. You can see the number of expatriates is slightly higher than the locals, but as we go into the subsequent years, the number of locals goes up and the number of expatriates goes down. And this is because of what is going on. Many Ugandans are being trained. The sector is new. Many of us did not have the capacity to work in the sector or to serve the sector. But as time goes on, the capacity goes up, and that's why you see the localization ratios go higher.
On the right-hand side, you can see that we are having, for example, on the Kingfisher project, we have 49 employees, and this is by October, so the numbers definitely changed because we have hired more staff. 91 of them were Ugandans, 25 of those coming from the community districts, that is Kikuwe, Bulisa, and all the other districts in the Albertine, and then 58% of those were expatriates. In terms of utilization of Ugandan goods and services, at CFT we did our commitment, and at this stage we are just predicting that maybe the majority of services would need this, and you can see those in the blue column, that is hotel and meeting, office cost, consultancy, development support, equipment maintenance, human resource related services, and then we made certain commitments in terms of what we ideally spend and how much would go to Ugandan companies. So as of Q2 2023, that is the closing month of September, ideally you can see in the middle column, the second column, where it is below, there's $12.6 million. That was our initial anticipation. But in the red, you can see that as of Q2, our expenditure to Ugandan companies is around $32 million US. So already above what we ideally anticipated. And that is maybe a testament that Ugandan companies perhaps have capacity and are competing even in sectors where they were not expected to compete. So that is something good for the SMEs to learn and know. And also because consequently over time the PAU keeps advising. Initially we had a list of ring-fenced goods and services, but earlier this year, I think in February, we got a communication from the PAU where they advised that Ugandan companies have developed capacity in other sectors, and they advised us that we must prioritize even provision of those services to Ugandan companies. So that explains the dramatic shift in what you committed versus what we have achieved in procurement. So here I try to go through the performance, and this is by Q3 still, Q2. Yeah, so for this year, our purchases have come to about $18 million US. I have already talked about the 32 million, which is the cumulative value from last year when we started operations. Looking at 2023, we have awarded over 60 contracts, $18 million US. Of those 60 contracts, 49 are Ugandan companies. So still you can see that the majority are Ugandan companies. On the right, you can see some of the companies that have won contracts with us. I saw my colleague from Green Label is also here in the house. So they have a contract with us for handling of waste, KPMG, of course, Bowman's Law, Hash Security, and so many other Ugandan companies that I've not mentioned here. So wrapping up the performance in terms of national content employment of Ugandans, like I've said, for the Kingfisher as of November, we had 83 technical staff. That is the ones who are in the oil field, and excludes those of us who work in the administration in Kampala. 20 come from the communities. I think that is very important, community content. Whenever we hire, we try as much as possible to prioritize people from the community. Then for purchase of goods and services, I say 32 million so far, already above our promise, but it doesn't mean that we have stopped procuring. We are still getting goods and services. In terms of training of Ugandans, we have committed, I think about 49, the figure is not, yes, 49, 212 training man hours. We count the training in terms of how many hours each particular person spends in training. So that's how we compute the training. As of now, we have achieved about 60% of that. And this is really important for Ugandans to understand, because in many cases, many Ugandans have, for example, a degree in oil and gas engineering. But in most cases, they lack the practical experience. So if you left the Ugandans on the rig, they will definitely not be able to run it. But, and that's why they are paired with expatriates. And over time, like I explained in the previous slide, the understanding is that the more they work and gain the practical experience, then we shall let go of the expatriates, and the Ugandans can do the work full time. For knowledge and technology transfer, my colleague Linda, they have signed with Chambogo Hours. We have signed an MOU with Makerere University, and we are advancing training through that. Earlier last month, we had 6 Ugandan staff going to China that is under the Well Technology Department, and they undertook a 1-month training in China to work with the facilities and to get familiar with the coastal technology. So that is also part of the various initiatives we do in technology transfer. Supplier development, yes, we have held engagements like this year. We have had one for Q1 in Kampala. For Q2 we went to Hoima. For Q3 we were in Kampala, and for Q4 we are going to still be in Kampala. So, and in these supplier engagements we get to talk about, of course, these opportunities that we have, and you can get to meet our people from procurement and all the other teams and departments. In terms of upcoming opportunities, these are just some of the samples that have come up, but as the year comes to the end, the different user departments are making their procurement plans. So as of now, of course, I don't have all the complete information. This list is not in any way exhaustive. We still have a lot of procurement that we need. But these ones, like we need logistical vehicles, which we shall, because it is $200,000 US. Remember what Linda talked about. Usually, if the contract is below $500,000 US, the prescribed method is selective bidding, and ideally this means that you as a supplier must already be somehow in the supplier database of the contractor. So it is encouraged that maybe you reach out to our companies and then they register your credentials. Because if we use selective bidding, it means that we are going to go through the supplier database that we have internally, and then we shall select the companies that qualify for that scope and invite those companies. So sometimes you may not see the smaller contracts in the newspapers, and so you need to network and work with these companies to be able to access these opportunities. And also the other medical services, bulk truck services, high pressure fittings, and so many other services that we shall need for this year. Also in terms of employment, of course, we need senior cementing operators, we need cementing operators, we need cementing test operators, we need drilling engineers, welders, truck drivers, and mechanics. So this is the ones that are planned for this year, but we also have a comprehensive annual recruitment plan, which is going to be drafted at the start of January. So in January, we shall definitely have more opportunities for employment. These are some of the pictures from the various supplier workshops that I've talked about. And COSIL, as Cnooc will tell you, we are very dedicated to local supplier development, and we have worked with our different suppliers to ensure, even when you become a supplier of COSIL, we continue to support you and ensure that you can have good contract performance. We have had issues with contractors in terms of running contracts, because like you've had the payment terms in the oil and gas sector a bit different, you know. You do the works and then your invoice has to be cleared in 60 days. So if you do not have the financial muscle, sometimes that is a bit challenging for the company. So we try and much as possible to support the companies. If you need a bank reference letter or you need stuff, we do that to help you so that you can be able to perform. So this year, the third quarter, we had a specific workshop which was specifically dedicated to working with our existing suppliers and ensuring that we respond to their concerns. Some of the complaints that many Ugandan suppliers have raised is that, why don't you reduce the payment days from 60, make them maybe make the payment period shorter. But in a nutshell, this decision depends on so much, because like you have seen, COSIL is a subcontractor, is a contractor to Cnooc. And ideally COSIL gets its payment from what? From Cnooc. Cnooc has a number of payment days. So if the payment days that COSIL has with Cnooc are certain number of days, it cannot make promises because it may not be able to honor those. So it's sort of a hierarchy and a lot of issues involved. But you could just take the message that we had from the presenter in the morning, Mr. Chichi. How would you be able to build your financial capacity? How would you be able to put your company in line so that you are able to to operate? Because that's the nature of the oil and gas sector. Even if we advocate for changes, yes, the changes may come, but in the end, the industry works the way it works. So you have to prepare as MSCs to be able to work within this sector. So as I wrap up, if you are interested in procurement of goods and services, the email to reach out to is written up here. Mr. Wang is the head of procurement unit, and oftentimes to do selective bidding, to do open bidding, this is the guy who will send out the email. So when you have this email, in terms of any procurement related queries, you can always reach out to him. If your query relates to employment opportunities, you can reach out to first our HR officer Sureya on the email there, and also Coastal has subcontracted some of its work for manpower management to Avanti Energy Services. So majority of the jobs that we have at the well site are advertised and run by Avanti Energy Services Limited, a local Ugandan company. So their HR manager's email address is also there, and you can always reach out if you need that. Thank you very much for your attention.
By the names of Joet Bitundwa, Manager Procurement and Logistics with Dynaco Limited. Dynaco Limited is an indigenous construction company established 2012, and we specialize in provision of civil engineering solutions, roads, bridges, dams, piling works, and other related infrastructure works. I am here specifically because we early this year we signed a contract with Cnooc for the construction of shoreline protection works for well part 1, 2, and 3. So just in the list there, that is the first project. Now, as my other colleagues have been mentioning, they already have work that is ongoing. We just received the commencement for today, so we are in preparation for the works. On the slide, this is just some photos of the works we have undertaken, and that's all in Uganda. So we are a small company that is trying to scale up and move up and build our infrastructure in the country. So, what is the scope of our works for the well part? That's a general list, but what we're actually offering is a sheet pile to protect the shore, to protect the wells when they're being constructed. So, I'll just give a sketch of a typical section for the well part. If you can see the blue lines, that's, I don't know if you can understand the drawing, but those are the sheet piles that we will be providing. That's for well part 1. So you will see that there's a sheet pile that protects this other side is the lake, and this is where the well part is going to be situated. So that's a sheet pile, and there's a dead man anchor right next to it, and that's connected by tie rods. So the work involves that we, protect the shoreline. I mean, protect the wells that are going to be constructed, and this other side, and we will have a situation where we have to raise the area and backfill the entire sections, so that when there is drilling, by another company, the waves from the water does not disturb the whole process. So, what opportunities are there for subcontracting? We will have cranes and heavy equipment, hire services. So these are areas that some of the people that are here can target. Logistics and warehousing. We are having a shipment for the sheet piles that is about 1,500 tons that is coming in. So that is an area as well that some people can target. Then the fuel supply for our equipment and vehicles. Then there's a logistical transportation for the sheet piles from Mombasa to the site. Waste management services, handling and transportation. All these are areas and opportunities that anyone in this room can benchmark. We will need security services. We will also need prefabricated housing units, as well as supply for gravel and rock for the protection works. just like I've mentioned, the opportunities for the SMEs in this room are very vast, and that's just a list of some of the things that we can look at. And the companies that are in here, of course, you definitely know where your area of strength is, and I believe that these are areas that we can benchmark and look at and work together as a nation. So, any challenges? I think challenges that we are facing as SMEs, of course, is sometimes there is not enough knowledge of the tenders that are up there. And then also the procurement processes are a bit lengthy. And then of course we have an issue with the financing and the payment terms, as you know, the previous presenter mentioned. But I feel like these are areas that we can always look at, and they can be solved. So I would recommend that if there are any people here, but I think most of the people that are here are already on the NSD, but we can also build our capacity by joining hands. And just like I mentioned with the areas that we have for our projects, those are areas that you can look at, and we can work together to do these projects. I would like to thank you.
My name is Bukume Dennis, and I work with Cnooc, Uganda, as a short form, but the company is Cnooc, Cnooc International Uganda Limited. Sorry about that. Okay, and during the course of the presentation, my email will be on most of the slides. So if anything that I say during the presentation interests you, you know, you can reach out through that email. Okay. All right. So let's begin. A brief about the company. As I say, it's Cnooc International Uganda Limited. Short form is Cnooc Uganda. It was started in 2012. We are service providers and also contractors. Okay, that's a brief about the company. So some of the solutions we offer globally, we have seismic acquisition, which is generation and recording of earthquake data and other vibrations of the earth. We have geological reservoir research, experimental analysis and research. We have well prospecting, evaluating, drilling, completion. We also deal in oil and gas sector, obviously. These are some of the services we do offer: fuel construction, fuel production maintenance, transport and trading, and processing in oil and gas. Also, the liquefied natural gas industry, and also logistics. Some of the services we do offer. So this is just this is a graphic that just shows what I've just been explaining on the previous slides. So I'll move on. So the topics we were asked to talk about in this presentation, these are the topics: opportunities now for subcontracting, opportunities for supply of goods and services, some of the projects that we're actually handling, the Kingfisher project, and any other information. Okay, so I'll begin with some of the projects. We're currently, we don't have so many projects active. Yes, we do have some projects, like Mr. Eric showed you, we do have some projects, but currently we don't have projects running the Kingfisher development area. However, we have some other, let me talk about the projects, okay? We have some of the projects that we have, electrical submersible pump, that's ESP, pressure downhole gauge, okay? Yeah, those are not yet active, okay, for now, but we do have, and we hope to, begin these projects anytime soon. So these big projects come with other opportunities, okay? They come with other opportunities, transport services, security services, and others, okay, hotel and others. So I'll take you through some of the opportunities that you can actually take up that we do have currently, okay? So let's move on. So this slide just shows some of the adverts that we have put up, okay? This year we put up 2 adverts in the newspapers. We advertised through Daily Monitor and New Vision, okay? One advert was put. Don't worry about the content. I'll show you the next slides. I'll show it to you, clearly. Okay, I'm just showing you that this is how the procurement process starts. Okay, we advertise in the newspapers. We advertised one in August, and we just advertised this month, okay, in November. I'll show you the contents of the advertisement in the next slide. Okay, and what happened? Potential bidders were evaluated, and there was an opportunity where they were registered the Cnooc procurement system, which is the Cnooc database. Okay, it's controlled by Cnooc, but this was delegated, and we actually carried out this enrollment of suppliers in the database. Okay, so let's move on. So like I said, I will show you clearly what was on the adverts. And the August advert that was done, these were some of the services that were advertised. Okay, these are some of the services that were published in the newspapers, and some of these, obviously, the deadline was made, but some of these opportunities will be re-advertised. Okay, so you have to be on the lookout. Okay, some of these were taken, but some will be re-advertised. I'll, later tell you which those services will be advertised. But as you can see, these are some of that was advertised in August. Okay, so if there's anything that interests you there, okay, I'll quickly go through them. Computer and printer supply leasing services. We also had operation tools, construction supply, office supply, stationery supply, personal protective equipment supply, sundry supply, and drinking water supply, office furniture supply, hotel services, meals, and the list goes on and on and on. Okay, so I'll move on to the next slide. This was done in August, so this is just being concluded in November. Okay, and as I talked about some of the major, some of the big contracts that are coming up, this is one of it for continuous circulation project. Okay, it's coming up, and like I said, these big contracts come up with other opportunities. Okay, so currently we received the bids because the deadline was made, so we closed. So we shall evaluate. If there's need to re-advertise, we shall re-advertise. Okay, but these are some of that we just concluded. Okay, so let me move on. This is briefly our procurement process. Okay, this is the bridged, step by step. This is how we do it. Okay, preferably we do open bidding. Okay, open bidding, just to give everyone a chance. Just do open bidding. It's a method that's preferred, though sometimes, as previous presenters have also just put it, there's also a chance for selective, a selective way. So we advertise, receive the bids, then evaluate, then award the contract to the best bidder. Okay, and like I said, during the August advertisement, there was registration. Okay, we registered bidders in the Cnooc database, which is actually also an opportunity. Okay, you need to register and position yourself for some of these opportunities. Because, as I say, like selective bidding, come on, they will use the database. Like how else would they contact you? Okay, so you need to register. You need to be on the lookout. And my managers actually told me that I will present this as an opportunity as I go on. So let's go on. One of the most important things is the requirement before you bid. Okay. Yes. The very first thing, according to the regulations, the procurement regulations of national content, is to give priority to Ugandans, which is true, and they actually follow with that. But there's some other things that come with it. Okay, you must have experience in what you're bidding for. You must be competent, both technically and financially, and then you must have these documents. Okay, as a company, you should have these documents. I won't dwell so much on that. Okay, certificate of incorporation, certificate of registration, NSD certificate is a must. Okay, it's a must. It's a compliance requirement. There's no shortcut. Okay, you must have this for you to be able to engage these petroleum activities. Okay, and then some other documents. Okay, and this also comes with the advertisement. When we advertise, we will tell you, what documents you need to bid. Okay, so you just need to look out for the advertisement, which is done in the papers. Okay, so like I said, there were some opportunities that were advertised, and we are going to re-advertise. Okay, and these are some of those opportunities I was talking about. Okay, some of them are new, but some of them are going to be re-advertised. And I was talking to the manager. He said the advertisement is coming up, beginning December, which is next month. Okay, to be done in the papers. Daily Monitor and New Vision. The first week of the month, that's what he said. Okay, and these are some of the opportunities. Okay, computer and printer supply and leasing services. This has come back, has been re-advertised. Usually, what happens, we always want to deal with a certain number of suppliers. So we advertise, and sometimes we don't get the number of suppliers, and we don't feel like that's giving equal opportunity. Okay, so let's say we're targeting a number of 5 suppliers, and let's say we got only bids from 2 people. We can't, or we usually re-advertise so that we actually stick to the script the way we do it. So there's also office security control system, the access control system, the door system. So if you're interested, all the details will be in the advertisement. Okay, inside accommodation, meal services, conference system with smart screen, financial report audit services has also come back. It was advertised way in August and has come back. Operation tools and consumption tools has also come back. Okay, advertisement services, media and all that. Provision of transport pricing report services has also come. So those are some of the upcoming opportunities. So if you're here and you're interested, I'll take a second, or I can move on. All right, let me move on. I feel like most of us have paid attention, see where you feel, where you fall. So let me move on, please, just to save time. Some of the other opportunities that we have, I call this other because this was actually told to me by the manager. We are actually also going to conduct supplier development workshop just like this, the same thing. So if you're interested, like I said, my email has been on most of the slides. So you can just email me, and you tell me the subject that you're interested in. If it's a supplier development workshop, you tell me, I'll save you somewhere. These are all by invitation, okay? But you have to apply, of course. So there will be a supplier development workshop, and we're also planning to invite suppliers to our office, our business runs, okay? We're also planning to do this, and this will also be by invitation, okay? And we're also trying to, come up with they may ask us to, register again, okay? So just Actually, the mic has died on the right, because I'm coming to an end. Like I say, these are the documents.
A big hand clap for the opportunities and chances are still there, they're still present. So please interact with them, make linkages with them, link with them and talk with them, yeah? So, for who exactly? The contact details. I think they want the contact details. So that's fine. I think if we can maybe, the people can get access to the slides of the previous presenters. That would be good. So I'd like to have, if there's any comments or questions before I dismiss my panel, just kindly introduce yourself to us, the name, the company.
Okay. My name is Roman Karindo, Supplier. I've made a few observations on the empowering of the local community and giving them the opportunity to be some of the best suppliers to you. The figures look so very attractive. They are talking the 49, but of the 49, how much? Hello? Hello?
It's okay, let us use our natural God-given voices. I'm very sure we shall be audible.
I know in Uganda they write very good policies because I've been involved in audits of the Auditor General's office. Everything looks good. I'm sure you've done everything, but the problem is that how do you monitor? And this one goes down to what it's meant to be. That requires monitoring and evaluation, but not for purposes of only doing compliance. Because auditors only look at figures, supporting documents. But for example, if you say you've constructed a road, Maram Road, and then 4 years it has not been maintained, it can look as if it was never even constructed. And another thing is that if you're looking at empowering people, there must be something, because you might set very, very high standards which they cannot even get to. And you're talking about small and medium enterprises who may not even get the finances they may require. But if you promise to pay them, they can either get a bank guarantee or even use your LPOs to go and source the funding. Those are some of the challenges I see here. And again, when you look at other countries that think like this have happened, like in South Africa, was an example of Botswana that was given, they might want to show that the locals are involved. They show numbers, they look really pretty good. But in reality, there's nothing coming in to boost the economy. You've been talking about figures, 32 million, others are talking of 8 million. We don't know which is which. And now how to verify that, we are yet to know. But what I wanted to emphasize on, let it be real, not just figures which cannot be verified. Of course, everybody would want to paint a good picture, and I know most Chinese companies, how they work foreign, they've got their foreign interests which they need to cater for, more than the local ones. The local ones is just for purposes of compliance. They'll just show very good figures, we employed so many people, but the most important thing for Ugandans to be having capacity is to empower the people through training, and there must be a succession plan. If you involve expatriates, they will always defend their position. They say, they are not ready. They can't handle this. Okay, if they can't handle this and you've been training them for 5 years, then that means yourself have not done much. So the best thing, what would be next, is to give him consultancy or give it to another person. Consultancies are not supposed to be very long. Most of the time they are 6 months. Then you advise those you have trained on a consultancy basis until you know that they can go on by their own. Thank you very much. That is what I meant.
All right, thank you very much. I think there's a question of numbers versus reality. And then also the gentleman makes a very firm point about empowering SMEs. A question of financing on SMEs. Does any of my panelists maybe want to respond to that? We take the question, then we'll have the answers at once. All right. Yes.
Thank you very much. I'm called Gaston Mukenya. I'm the Managing Director of Unified Engineering. My first question is basically to all the presenters. Request for clarity on what do I need to do when I move out of this room to see that we are part of that communication. That's number one. Number two, I think Dynaco, you congratulations, by the way. It's very nice when we have young men in the room having these discussions. Your last remarks on you want to work with local companies. I wanted you to, I have to request you to expound on that. Are you looking for local contractors? Are you looking for local companies to work with on the entire scope? And if you don't mind, it would also be nice to understand how big and how small the scope is and the duration of which the contract is going to run. Then Cnooc, you mentioned about, you call it a big project, and I think it's the operation, tools and consumption. Did I get that right? No, continuous saturation project, right? Yes, that's what we call it, big project. I think we have an opportunity to partner when we don't have enough capacity. But it would also be nice for us as a local company or as local companies to get some guidance from the technical wing on what we need to look out for. Some of the supplies look pretty straightforward, but there's also issues of spec, logistics, and pricing, which can differ from the region, from the make, from the manufacturer. If it's possible, maybe not today, it would also be nice to also give us a bit of more clarity on that. Thank you very much.
I'm a media person, so my business rotates around media work. Linda, you talked about open bids and all that. I'm not well covered about bids and all that. But you talked about 500 USA dollars, 500,000 USA dollars as initials to maybe want to bid and all that. But if we talk about SMEs, I think that is small, medium enterprises. To me, I think that is at the higher end, but I need some explanation from you. Then also about the opportunities. You too, I did not hear you talk about services like advertisement services where media fall. I don't know whether you have them or you don't have. Then also you too, you did not talk about EIS, that is impact assessment, environment impact assessment, in the way you give those services to people to do work for you. You did not mention that. I don't know whether you don't have it in your scope of work, or if you have it, how do you handle it? About Mugume, yes, thank you very much, but also you are not very clear about how you do these EAS. I need some more guidance on environmental impact assessment. How do you do it? I think that is all for now. Thank you very much.
Significant goes to Ronald from Kosil. I just worked around Kosil. I've been in Fisher. We did the environment cleaning around part 2, where the rig was, even the spreading swim when it took place. We're in charge of the environment cleaning there. I know how these people work. Me, I'm just encouraging Ronald, being a national content person. I know how these Chinese operate, and I know very well. Even these students who are doing internship, please bring them on board. Just be patriotic that these people learn how to do this job. Because I'm very sure they might be putting the number, just because of when monitors of PAU come, they want to find a number of Ugandans inclusive. Let these people, even if they're among the group of people, of course, specifically because of being operating around the rig, it is something very bad to put people who are not really experienced to this work. But at least bring them on board, let them learn. That's why students who are doing these oil and gas courses, let them be pleased on board. I know they might be in the number because monitors will pay when they come, they find the number of Ugandans. But please put them on board and let's be patriotic behind this.
Mutebaka Ventures Limited. This is a general merchandise limited company. My observation in all this is that if we are actually to build up local capacity, financial muscle, what is really lacking here is advance payment guarantee by our clients versus performance bank guarantee. The moment that is applied, then all the locals will have the capacity. So I would love to ask the people behind, or the authorities behind, to look deep into this approach. Thank you.
About numbers versus reality. So this is actually, supervised by POW. Okay, it's actually supervised by POW, and they check this. Okay, I've actually been in one of the compliance meetings. Yeah. So I know from a supplier's view. Yeah. Because let's say if a bid was put out, okay, and one person got it, I know there's that feeling of, maybe they left me out, maybe they didn't select the government. But one thing I can assure you, okay, we are following the guidelines, the compliance, requirements, okay. Opportunities are given to Ugandan companies, okay, for supply of goods and services, and some of the suppliers, because if the contract is given, okay, you can actually know, because we're supervising subcontractors, okay, and I don't know, but that's proven now, okay. If we're not following the guidelines, I don't think we would actually go on, because we have a body that checks, which is Petroleum Authority, okay, to check we're actually following and complying to all these requirements. Okay, I believe that is sorted. Okay, I believe that is sorted. Okay, there's someone to actually check us. If we don't, they have the discretion to cancel. Like you can revoke or do anything. They have the power. Yeah, power is the power. Okay, and then there was another question about the supplier development workshop. How to do it? I've just displayed my email, okay? And that is my work email. That is my work email. It's the email I use for work, okay? You just send, though this will be under invitation, but you should send, okay? I will receive and keep them somewhere. So when I get the go-ahead from the managers or the superiors that this workshop is on, I'll send you an email, okay? And you'll come. No, just see it is my personal email, okay? Then there was another question about the circulation system, the system project. Technical information, I think that will be given by the engineers, okay? But it was described in newspapers. If that is not enough, information, I'm going to resubmit. Maybe we shall maybe build better spec, okay? Better spec for suppliers to know what's up ahead, what they have to deal with. Okay, I think that's it.
Thank you all for the questions. As Dynaco Limited, we are relatively new in the oil and gas industry. This is going. So I would like to respond to the questions I received directly. You asked whether I should expound on the people you would want to work with. As Dynaco, we are targeting local contractors and to some extent individuals. We do not have a system where we're saying, okay, we are looking out for this person or this person. No, we are targeting people that we can work with and build partnerships with, because this is a country and we have to build it ourselves. For the scope of the work, the contract sum is about 8.8 million USD. Because this kind of work as well is a bit very specialized, we have most of the money going to procurement of the sheet piles, the steel, which is we do not have the capacity in the country at the moment. The duration is also relatively small, it's 8 months. But But we do have areas where people can tap in. Like I said, the logistics for the ship pipes, that is an area that we can handle. We have earthworks. We have gravel and fields, about 85,000 cubics. We have to haul and place them. That is an area that can be exploited. We also have rock fill, about 15,000 cubics. That is also an area that can be targeted by the local companies and contractors. Thank you.
I could touch on the question about numbers versus reality. And I think that is the essence of why we are here and the essence of positions like mine, National Content Officer. I think just to take you a little bit, you know that the reason why Uganda developed the national content laws and regulations is because the country has done extensive studies. Joseph from PAU will tell you that we benchmarked what has happened in the Norway, we have benchmarked what has happened in Nigeria, Ghana, and all these other countries where the oil gas has been talked about, and we have come in place with a system to try and check. Of course, there are challenges because when the international oil companies come here, they want profit, and they will do as much as possible to retain as much profit as it is. But I think credit must be given to the Ugandan system. For example, with the PAU, there are different checks and balances that have been put in place to ensure that the numbers are as close to the reality as possible. For example, now there is a multi-sectoral agency cooperation. You find that the system of the URA, Ministry of Internal Affairs, NSSF, they are now merged. So there is no way, for example, a company like COSIL would put out news information like $32 million in procurement when you know that the URA is going to come knocking on your door to audit your books. So it would be stupid to do that. So such checks and balances ensure that at least the numbers that are put there are as close to the truth as possible. The other second thing I can talk about that is that in the end we need to do self-assessment as SMEs. As national content officers, you know, you will go in meetings and advocate for Ugandan companies. The Ugandan company is given a contract to supply goods and services. They are given a timeline, and they assure you in the meetings, they come and assure how they have capacity, how we shall deliver in 60 days and everything, then one day you hear a call, Ronald, could you tell them to add me maybe some 15 days? We are having challenges in Mombasa. So sometimes, even us as Ugandan suppliers, our track record of delivery of services speaks volume. So if one company, Ronald Limited, does not deliver well, it will spoil the reputation of all Ugandan SMEs in these international companies. So we need to also look inside on ourselves. So that is it about participation, that we can have the laws in place, but in the end, how they manifest is also a two-way. It's the responsibility of us who are within these international or Chinese companies and other companies. We push for the Ugandan companies, but the Ugandan companies must also help us to push and ensure that whenever you get a chance, at least you demonstrate capacity for goods and services. Supplier workshops, how do we ensure you are invited? I think that is now something that is for you as a company to evaluate. You know, you need to network, you need to reach out to these companies, ensure that they have your contacts, because if we do not know about you, we cannot invite you. There are several, because if in the end the target is to have 100 companies, I have 100 companies, meaning that you just have to make sure you as a company, you are out there, put yourself out there, network, and network. Yeah, and the gentleman asked why we have not talked about advertising services, why we have not talked about environment, social impact assessment. I think it is common knowledge that at the start of the Kingfisher project, this was done by Cnooc, the mother company. The same thing for Tirenga, it was done by Total Energies. So the ESA process is done once, and we as contractors just fall in place. So unless there are special needs, maybe environmental related services, I talked about green label services, they are offering something which is environmental related. But in terms of doing the impact assessment studies, they are always done before the financial investment decision. Thank you.
Thank you for the questions. I would like to speak more about this, but most of the questions have been expounded by this gentleman. But just to clarify about the numbers versus reality still, PAO, Petroleum Authority of Uganda, is not a joke. If you've been to those meetings, you know what it means to comply. Same applies to Cnooc, because as subcontractors, we have to comply because we are being audited by 2 other people on top, and that is Petroleum Authority and the people that subcontracted us. And you cannot bypass anything. There are things they follow, and you have to deliver. Before you deliver, before you do anything, you cannot work with them. If you don't qualify on something, you cannot work with them. They cannot allow that. We hold those compliance meetings every quarter, and they are there. You will have to attend. You'll have to have your figures in place. They'll have to confirm those figures. They'll come up to the sites and do audits, physical audits. They'll ask for all details. I've been in most of those audit meetings, both here and on site. They'll come physically. They'll sit with you on your desk. They'll ask to the dot. You cannot really bypass their measures. And then about the USD, someone asked about the amount for bidding, like you can't, the SMEs. The SMEs, we're actually working with everyone. We have people that are doing supply of goods and services on site, people that will buy from things as small as they may seem, but they are big to us. Food, every day, people supply, because on site people eat, everything. We have people that we work with up to that level. So everyone has where they fall, to my own understanding. So these ones for 500, they take up those very big roles, like when you're working on the civil engineering, the mechanical, and still, if you want to be part, you can maybe come up with joint ventures, because as me, who is standing here, we are a joint venture. At some point, maybe we thought we would not compete if we were a separate company. So we added up utility, we added up energy, everything, and made sure we are capable and competed, and then we got the contract. So you can also join up and come up with a bigger, you have more energy to compete, and then you join. But everyone has somewhere they fall. Yeah, most of the things have been talked about. So I think that's it, basically. Thank you very much.
Capacity to get opportunities within the sector. So some supply development workshops fall under enterprise development. I'm here to represent our executive director and our director of economic and national budget monitoring. Well, important meetings, so they couldn't be here. So my presentation will consist of the introduction, the status of Uganda's oil and gas projects, the national budget gains, a case for strategic partnerships and joint ventures, linkages, and then I'll conclude. So the petroleum sector in Uganda has 3 key entities. Those entities consist of the ministry that's in charge of policy formulation, investment production, promotion, and licensing. Then we have ourselves the regulator. The regulator is in charge of regulating and monitoring the upstream and midstream subsectors, as well as ensuring compliance of petroleum operations to legislation and to the agreements. The Cnooc is a commercial arm in the sector that's in charge of moving forward the country's commercial interests and creating joint ventures across the petroleum value chain. The Ugandan oil and gas sector, these are some of the key players. I'm sure most of you already have this information. We have Tal Energy, the Chilenga project, that's worth about $153 billion. We have the Kingfisher, that's being done by Cnooc, that's worth about $48.4 billion. There's also some new licensing that's currently taking place between Cnooc and Cnooc, and the others that will come on board hopefully in the near future. Or maybe just to go back a bit, of course, this ECOP that's being our transportation in the midstream, and then of course we try to get the refinery project ongoing as well. So these are some of the exploration projects that we have currently. We have the Kanyapaba area, that's with Dama Energy. We have in gas and deep play, that's with Duranto, and then we have gas and shallow play, that's with Duranto and Kasturban. Cnooc, which I mentioned earlier, and Toronto with TGR Energy. So this plan-work program for about a period of 4 years is reprocessing the existing seismic data, acquiring new seismic data, geological and geophysical studies, doing overreach to exploration wells. There's some other basins, as mentioned there below, that shall be coming on board as well. So, like I mentioned earlier, the investment, some of the projects is expected to be between $15 to $20 million. We have the upstream development, that's about $8 billion. We'll have the Ghana refinery project, that will cost about $24 million. Then we have the East African Crude Oil pipeline, that's about 3.5. Then the airport and the infrastructure works that will support these projects at about $1 billion. So as national content, we're very passionate about seeing Ugandans get contracts in the sector, as well as seeing Ugandans employed in the sector. Why do we regulate national content? We want to achieve in-country value creation and retention, whilst ensuring competitiveness, efficiency, and effectiveness. We also want to develop in-country human capital development. That's why I talked about getting Ugandans employed in the sector, oil and gas-related disciplines. We'd like to develop competitive Ugandan enterprises to supply the oil and gas sector, part of which dissemination of information and opportunities in workshops like the ones we're in right now. Some of the key pillars in national content involve employment of Ugandan citizens, capacity building, enterprise development, which actually is part of capacity building, use of locally produced goods and services, encourage companies in the sector. They need to first give priority to goods and services that are available in Uganda, and then transfer of knowledge and technology that I'll touch on a bit more later. This comes in through joint ventures. I think this has already been touched on. I'm not dwelling on it too much. There are 16 sectors ring-fenced for Ugandans, goods and services, reserved for Ugandan entities, which I mentioned there. Some of them security, food and beverages, clearing and forwarding, civil works, etc. Now, as mentioned earlier by some of the previous presenters, even those outside the 16 ring-fenced sectors, as the Petroleum Authority, we encourage that if they're Ugandans, which some have built capacity to do some of the services outside the 16 ring-fenced sectors, those opportunities should also be given to Ugandans as first priority. In terms of employment, as of September of this year, we had about 93% of the staff that are employed within the oil project, we had about 93% of them being Ugandans. The nationals were reduced by 67% in Q3 due to reduced civil works. So when the civil works reduced, unfortunately some nationals also no longer working in some of the projects. We have 4,344 from the host communities. We encourage some of these companies that should employ some of their staff members from within the host communities to build community participation. We have the licenses employed 849, of whom 71% were Ugandans. Contractors employed 12,094, which 95% were Ugandans. In terms of skills development, over 40,000 Ugandans have been trained and certified in various oil and gas disciplines of welding, health and safety, environment, heavy goods vehicle, and scaffolding, among others. International accreditation and certification of vocational training has been built across various training institutions. Some of them have certifications in City and Guild, ECITB, or Peter Nebosh, that are key requirements to get employed within the sector. We have government officers from different ministries and agencies that are trained in different oil and gas related disciplines by the relevant licensees. And then we are currently finalizing an update of the capacity needs analysis to see some of the skills that are yet to be employed in the sector and what is required. Maybe just to touch on this, maybe I don't know if some of the companies here are into training, but we do have an Oil and Gas Trainers Association of Uganda where we bring together the training institutions to have discussions about where they can build capacity to get international accreditation and certifications. The people that come out of these training institutions and then absorbed within the sector. In terms of enterprise development, where I think most of you fall, we did have a project, actually one of the coordinators of this workshop, one of the beneficiaries, but we do have a project that was being run by FDB. That project was targeting 200 MSMEs, that's medium, small, and micro, medium enterprises, but we actually surpassed the target and trained 280. And these were specific along the ECO districts where the ECO pipeline is going to pass. We are a Women and Youth Empowerment Project, also still under FDB, that trained 137 women and youth-led businesses. There's also a business development linkages project still under FDB that train 138 enterprises in business linkages, of which some MOUs were signed between some of the large enterprises and the small and medium to encourage them to work together to take part in these opportunities in the sector. More than 5,000 small and medium enterprises were trained in business requirements, and some of the key enterprise development initiatives that we're working on now are the High Innovator program with NSSF that's going to work with some of the companies on the ONSD, that's the National Supplier Database, to train companies to build capacity for them to get more contracts within the sector. We're also working with the Ministry of the National Content Fund to see hopefully that we can have financing opportunity, financing for lack of better word, opportunities that can encourage some of these companies to get cheap financing, because a lot of the challenges Ugandan companies face in taking part in this sector that's very capital intensive are finance related. So we're trying to work together with the ministry to have this national content fund where some of these companies can tap into to access cheap financing. And of course the supply development workshops like this where we disseminate information, and the National Content Conference that's coming up actually on the 6th and 7th of December, where some of the companies will be represented, or where we shall disseminate a lot more information on the opportunities available, and encourage you to network within that conference to see that you can have synergies to work together on some of these opportunities. In terms of utilization of Ugandan goods and services, contracts have been approved of worth about $7 billion, of which 1.7 of those have gone to Ugandan companies. The figure is still low, but we are working very hard at the Petroleum Authority to see that more Ugandan companies get these contracts, and so we can push up that percentage. Approximately have been Ugandan companies, and about $988,000 of that is going to the community economy through provision of goods and services that have been sourced from within the communities. Some of the procurement challenges that were faced, of course, the equipment contractors, coming for bid bonds. So in line with this, we've been holding, and I think one of the presenters mentioned it earlier, we've been holding regular compliance meetings with the contractors. We have them on a quarterly basis, and we make sure that we do the necessary checks to ensure that some of these challenges are addressed, so that the companies that they subcontract or that they employ will be able to not face some of these challenges. So these are some of the Ugandan contractors that have been lucky enough or fortunate enough to have got contracts within the sector. I think instead of going through all of them, you can have a look, and then hopefully your names will be up there as well in the near future. So we encourage joint ventures and strategic partnerships. We do know that this is a new sector to Uganda, and so there are quite a few challenges around the capacity that you might have as individual companies. So we encourage the companies to come together, to work together, because if once you build synergies, you're stronger together to take part in some of these opportunities. Some of the key benefits of working together and having joint ventures will be growth potential in new markets. It will enable you to generate higher revenues and increase your profitability. Economies of scale can increase your output and become more efficient. That's being able to reduce your unit cost of production. New talent pools, you can access new groups of talented workers that can help you to develop and implement your business growth strategies. And you have a competitive advantage over others because it will present you with new opportunities, new technologies, and new industrial ecosystems that you can work together between the two entities to benefit from. Other benefits that come out of working together, joint ventures, will be increased technical capacity, technology transfer, increased human capital, access to new technology, knowledge, and increased financial capacity. We also encourage that when you do get into these joint ventures, and we've been seeing this happening, and we are trying to put a stop to this, is that a lot of these Ugandan companies tend to have joint ventures on paper. But when we do have our field monitors going on ground, they're not actually implementing the contract, and it's being done by the foreign entity. We strongly discourage this because the part of the reason you get into this joint venture is to have knowledge and technology transfer. So eventually you can stand on your own 2 feet. So if you do give the work to the foreign entity just at a fee, at the end of the day when the contract is done, you still be back to where you are. You would not have benefited from this joint venture. So we encourage, as you get into these joint ventures, please work with these foreign entities and ensure that you take part in these contracts, so that by the time the contract is done, you have built some capacity, you have maybe got the necessary knowledge or technology transfer, to be able to mitigate partners' overhead costs and freeing up money to invest in opportunities, reduce risks through reduced premiums and access to better resources. Now, maybe just before I go to the next slide, in the law, in our regulation, when you do get into a joint venture with a foreign entity, in the Ugandan oil and gas sector in particular, you should have a minimum of 48% shareholding within this joint venture. And the joint ventures have to be approved by the Petroleum Authority of Uganda before they are implemented within the sector. Now I'm going to talk about linkages. As a result of the opportunities in the Ugandan oil and gas sector, there will be other sectors that will benefit as part of this project. As mentioned earlier, which I'll also elaborate on in my next slide, for example, most of these contractors on site, or even the licensees or other companies that are doing work within the project areas will need to feed, for example. So the opportunities in agriculture there. They will need places to stay, the opportunities in real estate. So I'll touch on some of these opportunities. So the other sectors that feed into the oil and gas sector that present opportunities in itself. According to a survey done by Norway, it was estimated that of every $1 directly invested in the oil and gas sector, it yielded indirect growth of about 0.6. So the total growth would be about 1.6. Therefore, in Uganda, a direct investment of $14 billion, which is actually 35% of Uganda's current GDP, the sector is expected to yield indirect growth of the GDP by $8.5 billion. The total growth generated by both oil and non-oil sectors would be $22.6 billion. So the direct investment of $14 billion will include approximately an additional $3.5 billion that will be sourced from the local companies through national project commitments. The major growth sectors based on that experience from Norway would be the manufacturing, construction, transport, agriculture, health, and tourism, among others. It is also anticipated that this indirect growth will be
of the Kingfisher or the oil field projects is, it's some sort of a phased development. So the opportunities that are available today, the opportunities that are going to come up in the near future, and we do have these engagements quarterly where we have a chance to share the opportunities that are coming up. Okay, so every quarter we have these engagements where we get to exchange ideas, especially from contributions from suppliers or potential suppliers. And we've also heard that we have enterprise development programs. We do understand that sometimes our Ugandan companies do not have the capacity, okay, or they do not have the knowledge on how to win contracts within the oil and gas. So we have enterprise development programs that do help our local companies or our local Ugandans to scale up in knowledge and know-how. Okay? Without wasting so much time, we know we've overrun the program. I would like to say thank you once again for coming. But before you go, there is lunch. There's available, and it's also an opportunity for us to network. Very well, there's lunch available, and I think it's in the.
Thank you very much. Before lunch, maybe we shall first have some photographs, group photographs, and they will be from outside. I think this space is too small for us, all of us, and these photos are very, very important for this occasion. I think they will be in 3 sets. The general one, then the participant, the presenters, and also the team from POW and the Cnooc and the other organizers. So perhaps 3 sets of the photographs. Then after that, you'll be directed from there, because you have it from outside, where lunch is going to be. It's somewhere here, not very far. Then from there, immediately you'll be directed where to go. Thank you.